Boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Cobb's Kid Coding. Today we're going to talk about what is Scratch, how do you navigate using Scratch, and what is all this stuff in front of us. So really this should be one of the first times or even the first video you watch regarding Scratch. So what Scratch is basically a free online website that allows you to code using these blocks right here to the right. And the way it works is basically they took the people at MIT, they took code like you see here, all this kind of writing with all this special text, and they put it into these blocks. So each one of these blocks is a line of code, and they made the blocks into these different pieces so that your code won't work unless it fits into this special kind of jigsaw type piece. So it's a really easy way for you to kind of understand computer science and how coding works without having to actually type in the code. Because if you type in the code and you don't have this really visually appealing blocks, it's a lot harder and it's really confusing. Right over here is the actual main screen, or where the game or video or whatever you're making takes place, and it's underneath it looks just like a plain white screen, but behind it you can actually see down here these these numbers are changing, and it's basically a grid just like you learn in geometry. So there's an x-axis and a y-axis. Now the x-axis, everything from this line over, it's all negative numbers, and over here in the green it's all positive numbers. Whereas in the y, it's the opposite. Up here, you have the y positive, and down here you have the x negative. And that'll make sense to you when you start moving your sprite around and positioning things. For example, if I take my cat where he's at now, and I move him down here, you can see the number he's at. It actually changes right here. It's a negative 169, negative 124. You can see it's a negative in both x and in y, so they both should be negative. So that just kind of gives you an idea of what's kind of going on behind the scenes, even though you don't see it happening. Now, for your cat to actually move around, or your sprite is what they're called, the person who, your characters in your game, for them to move around, you use the codes that are in the pieces in all these different categories. The categories are all color coordinated to make it easier for you to understand. So first we have motion. If I click on this, you can kind of see my cat is moving. Pretty cool. You can also do this, where your cat will move up and down. And to get it to actually get started, you need to click the start button. The start button's here, the green flag, and the stop button's the red octagon. So the events key right here in this dark brown is the one that's going to it's kind of like your start and stop buttons. And one of the most important keys you're going to deal with is this green flag right here. So you just click it and bring it over here. This is where your actual coding happens on this side. So this is where the lines of codes will go, and this is what it actually does. So if I click this green flag over here and I click motion, if I drag this block over here and it connects like that, nice and even, the code should work. So when I click on the green flag, what do you know? He's moving. Perfect. Another cool thing we have is the looks. So looks is how it actually your sprite looks like. You can add text as well, but let's just do one with the way it looks. Now, here's script. Script is where you are, basically where all the code blocks are. But there's another one over here called costumes, and this is what this character will actually look like. And you can create new characters, and there's a whole tutorial about how to create new characters and how to alter characters. And there's also sound. There's different sounds. You can put your own sounds in here. They give you free sounds, so you can add sounds to your game or animation. You can also speak. So if I click this one over here and I click the green flag, he says hello, and you can alter the time there. So there's lots of different kinds of things you can do with the way the characters or sprites look. Here we have sound. You heard the sound. So once you actually upload the sounds, then you can start messing with them or playing with them. And here's the different coding or options you have with that. We have a pen tool here, which is kind of an advanced set of blocks here. But essentially what it does is it allows your sprite to become an actual pen or pencil, and you can actually start drawing with your sprite. I'll have a tutorial up on that, so just take a look out on that in the upcoming weeks. Data is how you keep score. So if you want to create a variable or a score, you just click the name of the score, and you have a score up there. And then you can use set score and change score to alter the number that's on here. I briefly told you about the events and what events does. One of the cool things it does is it allows this thing called broadcast. So broadcasting is a way for the sprites to kind of talk to each other. So if I click when the green flag is clicked, broadcast this message, it's a way of kind of signaling out or calling out to all the sprites and all the stages a secret message that we can't see. It's only in computer talk. And when the cat receives it, you can make him do something. So let's make him say meow. So as soon as I click this flag, it'll broadcast a message, and when the cat receives that message, he'll play the sound meow. There you go. So pretty cool. There's a lot of things that you can do with that. Here we have control, and this is a very important set of blocks. If you watch tutorials, I'll be going in here a lot. Mostly it has to do with timing, and it also helps with like setting the rules for things. A big one right here is if then, also forever. And if you see here, you can actually put blocks within blocks. So it says when the green arrow's clicked, forever, if something, then do something else. And I'm going to leave this on here just so you can see, because the next one we have is sensing. So we can say if the cat or their sprite is doing something or sensing something, for example touching, or a key is pressed, we're going to make it do something else. Let's do one that I can control a little easy. So I'll put key is pressed, and you can change the key right here. I'm just going to put A, and forever, if the key is pressed, we're going to say hello. So I click my green flag, I press A, it says hello. So again, those rules were created through these yellow control blocks. Very important. Next we have is operations, and operations are more advanced blocks, but what it lets you do is it lets you to manipulate the variables and kind of do those kind of things. For example, if I got rid of this thing, you can put in this diamond key here. So for examples, if you made the score, you can say if the score equals 1, say hello, for example. So the greens operations let you, again, play with those kind of data numbers or costume numbers. The last thing you have here is a block where you can actually make your own block. So I'll show you really quickly how that works. So I'm going to call my block move. And it's almost like the broadcast one. It's more advanced, like I said. And right here it says define. So let's just say define is move 10 steps. Let's delete that. You just delete very easily by clicking and dragging it in here. And I'm going to click, let's go to our more blocks. We have our move block that I just created. And so when I click this, he starts moving. Why? Because the definition of the block was move. So every time move block, which means move 10 steps. That's what happens. So you can make your own blocks, and it just helps with eliminating excessive code when you have too much code on there. Again, a little more advanced, but these are the 10 different operational blocks that are programmed in there for you. Again, you can make your own, but that's kind of what's going on. We have costumes, which I briefly told you before, which is how you create stuff, and you can use this paint tool here to draw stuff or whatever. You can import, etc. You can add from the library they give you, and that kind of stuff. And then sounds is right here. You can choose from different sounds. By clicking on that tab. So those are the three options you have with the sprite. The last thing is your actual stages. And as you see, I added some code in here prior to starting the thing. And you can change those backdrops by drawing. Anything you draw here will end up over here. So for example, if I just type in the text hello, it'll now show up on the left side right there. So you can see there it is on that. And the backgrounds also have scripts just like the sprites do, so you can actually put in code for your stage. One example would be to add in like music or something like that. If you wanted to add music to your stage, you just go to your sound and go to your files here. So that's the basics of how Scratch works. There's a lot more to learn, but hopefully this gives you a bit of an understanding of how Scratch works and how the tools are set. Thanks for watching.